is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am in the house today. It feels good to be back. And I am back with one of my brothers today. And I am here with Mr. Willie Epteen Jr. What's up, Willie? How you doing, sir?
What's up, y'all out there, everybody? 216 Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, and surrounding areas. Rachel, what it do?
Nothing. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we got a lot we got to get into today. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit and finish up with that. So, the Super Bowl marks the end of the football season. It's something that is hyped all year long, and then it comes down like a ton of bricks. First of all, how are you?
With the ending of the football season,
Yes.
I think I'm gonna be okay.
You
Uh,
think
I,
you're gonna be okay?
yeah,
Because Kate was in mourning, so I had to respect her feelings yesterday.
yeah. I think I'm gonna be okay. Because um, basketball season is now at the forefront of everybody's mind and eyesight for whatever, if you will. There's also some things that are coming down. I mean, we got USFL coming up too. And as a matter of fact, you guys need to tune in to the Ballers Report podcast live on YouTube and Twitter at Shakeback Media Group at Warzone Sports. I will have tight end Calais Robertson on the show. He is expected to go high in the the USFL draft coming up in a few weeks.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing okay because a lot of people are not doing okay with the ending of football. So let's just go ahead and get into it. What did you think of the Super Bowl?
Um, I think that it was a very well played game. To me, it wasn't. I mean, even though it was a close game and it was well played, I mean, there were very little penalties, and the Rams had the only two turnovers in the game. I don't know if you remember, Rachel, but these two teams are the least penalized teams in the National Football League this past
Yeah,
year.
the
So
Bengals was except for 1 minute left.
yeah, so it was a very well played game. Now, I won't say that it was one of the more exciting games that I've ever seen, but it was very competitive and very well played. And they don't always go hand in hand in terms of being as exciting. Now, that's not to say that it wasn't exciting, but it wasn't as exciting as to me anyway, as it was built to be. Now, is that because what is that reason for? Is it because maybe that the Rams are playing at home? I don't know. It just depends on who you are, because even though they were at home, they were designated as the road team, and there was no real home field advantage because the Super Bowl. I mean, they had half fan support for both teams there, so that may have had something to do with it for me. But other than that, I mean, I thought the game was great. I mean, I think it netted 141 million viewers worldwide. So I think the NFL is okay with that.
What's the highest in history? Do you know?
I do not. I do not know, and I don't think I care. But this game, I mean, it could have gone either way. It could have gone either way. Joe Burrow and that Cincinnati front office, they better do something before they get that kid killed. Straight up. I mean, to be honest with you, Rachel, how in the world is it that a team that gave up the most sacks in the NFL gave up 7 sacks in the Super Bowl, gave up 9 sacks in the AFC divisional round, gave up 3 sacks to the Raiders in the wild card round? How in the world is it that they get to the Super Bowl?
But the thing is, they almost won the Super Bowl. So remember, we had talked on one of your shows. I can't remember which one it was, but I said that Joe Burrow was going to get sacked more than 5 times, right?
Yep.
And they almost won the game. I know they didn't, but they almost won the game still, even with him getting sacked that many times. So obviously, Cincinnati is going to have to draw address that offensive line at the end of the season because it just doesn't make any sense. And pretty much their offensive line was a reason in which they lost that game because in the final, the final play call, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask of you in that final play call, would you have called a pass or would you have called a run? The Super Bowl's on the line.
When Aaron, well, I'm sorry, when I almost said Aaron Rodgers, when Aaron Donald just reached over and just pulled the man down by one hand, essentially, that was the third down play. But you're asking me about the fourth down play. I think that if it would have been for me, if it would have been me, I would have had designed something that would have put Joe Burrow on the move. You have to be able to neutralize the D-line's pressure that they've been getting on your quarterback all day. I would have loved to see some sort of short motion involving Jamar Chase. They only needed a yard, right? So they could have had some short motion going with Jamar Chase and had Joe Burrow move out of the pocket to the same side that Chase was on. Maybe have him run a little flat route, and then you have another guy that's running a crosser route behind him. That way, if it's a zone defense, somebody's going to go with Chase. I mean, probably two people are going to go with Chase. Okay. And then it's going to leave either Higgins or Boyd or even Uzuma open or even Mixon open if he's not staying in the block, which he probably would have stayed in the block to help out with the offensive line because they had been getting to him all day. I would have liked to have seen something like that for 1 yard, not necessarily just line up in shotgun and let those guys just fire off the ball and do what they did. And unfortunately, it didn't. They executed it, but they didn't execute it well enough.
Because I feel like on that play, I'm calling a run play. I'm like, I think that's sort of what I did. You're shaking your head.
Because they hadn't run the ball really that effectively. I mean, they had bits and pieces.
But you had 1 yard you needed to get, just one.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you have, see the motion, if you have, I wish I could draw. I wish we had a telestrator on the screen because I would do my rendition of John Madden. If you have Jamar Chase, and I know y'all can't see me out there listening, but if you have Jamar Chase, if you motion him in from the right side or even the left side of the formation in a short motion and give him the ability to create a little space by doing that short motion and then going across the field, you have a chance to really get that first down. And then on top of that, Rachel, if you run a play like that, you don't have to really have your O-line hold up for 2-3 seconds. You only need a yard. You
even said that they could design a play for Joe to run. I would have preferred that as well.
That's what I'm saying, though. Something that would have had him on the move because he could have actually had like a run pass option, really. And instead of involving the running back, I mean, of course, involving the running back on the play fake, if you are going to fake it. But Jamar Chase is your most dynamic offensive weapon. He has to be involved in that play when the season and championship is on the line. He has to be.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just didn't like that final call.
Well, I mean, I didn't either. Because Aaron Donald by that point had become a man possessed. I think when they got into it over on the sideline in the third quarter, I think that woke him up. The dude finished with what, 3 sacks, 3 or 2.5 sacks?
Yeah.
And that tackle for loss, or actually both of those tackles for loss on those final 2 plays. So you to me, you'd have had to do something to neutralize those dudes. Maybe run. I mean, you motion everything away from him. That way you'll have Boyd on one side, you'll have Chase coming to the other side, and you'll have maybe Higgins coming in behind both of them. One of those cats would have been open. I'm sure of it. But you know what? That's why we're armchair quarterbacks, and hindsight is always 2020.
Yeah. So what did you like about what Cincinnati did do in the Super Bowl? What did you like about them and their offense? Because their defense came to play, and they had some great stops on Matthew Stafford in that offense. They gave up that touchdown really early, but they were able to be some stalwarts and stop the LA Rams from doing a lot, except for pretty much that final drive. But what did you like about Cincinnati?
I think they should have run the ball a little bit more. They should have run the ball a little bit more, because in the beginning there was the word. Oh, wait a minute, that's a different quote. In the beginning, they were running the ball. I won't say great. I won't even say well, but they were running it effective enough to where if they would have stayed true to it a little bit deeper into the game, guess what that would have done? That would have set up play action. That would have set up screens. And it definitely would have kept the defensive line from the Los Angeles Rams at bay. And, of course, those linebackers wouldn't be able to just to flow all over the place the way that they were doing, because they were running the ball good enough. It may not have been good, but they were running it good enough to do that. And I don't know what Zach Taylor and all those guys for the Cincinnati Bengals upstairs saw in terms of the alignment from the defense on up top. But to me, just watching it, I know TV doesn't do it much justice, but just for me, they gave up on the run a little bit too quickly, or they didn't run it consistently enough for what I would have liked, particularly with the deficiencies that they had and the they had when you had the lines when you had the O line versus the D line.
Because did it seem to you that Cincinnati gave up earlier on what was working for them?
I don't know if they would. I don't know if they think. I wouldn't say they gave up early on it or gave up on it too early. I think they may have. I think there was a bit of maybe some panic by the coaching staff, because they had to probably think that they probably think they had to reel it in fear of the game getting away from them, which of course it did not. I mean, they were still right there, and they forced 2 turnovers against Matthew Stafford. We knew that Matthew Stafford was going to throw the ball to them at least once. Now the second time
on your show, and I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry about that. How many interceptions did we say that Matthew Stafford was going to throw?
I think it was 1.5, wasn't it? So yeah, that line was covered,
and it came true.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that for the Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, to me, it had to have been an experience factor. Say what you will about how great they played and how you may not think that they should have been here. Or like I got into one of my brothers at church on Sunday before the game, and he said that the Bengals are playing with house money. I say, I hate that phrase. Why do people even say that? It's not like they're, number one, they're really betting. But number two, he said that Cincinnati know they ain't supposed to be here. I'm like, wait a minute, dude. Do you really think that they think that they're not supposed to be here? No. So the fact that I think that had a lot to do with the experience factor, and Sean McVay was on the hot seat. All the pressure was on that dude, all of it. There was more pressure on him. And if you remember, I said the X factor, or I may have said in the Shake Back Sports Show, but whatever show it was, I said the X factor for the Rams is Sean McVay, not Matthew Stafford, not Odell Beckham Jr., none of that. It was Sean McVay, because he was the one that was responsible for engineering all of the stuff that had taken place to get Jalen Ramsey there, to get Von Miller there, to get Matthew Stafford there, to get OBJ there. He's the one that engineered all of that. And if he were to fall flat on his face after all that, and a coach who was only in his third year, the Bengals, coach is only in his second, third year, and they
Mm-hmm.
come into the Super Bowl with a second-year player, and he has all of the experience, and they have none. It would have been a horrible look for him, and I could actually have seen the Los Angeles Rams actually tearing that thing down if they needed to.
Tearing that thing down to the studs. So we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, right quick. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Oh my gosh.
Presents the Cleveland All-Star Fitness Expo Saturday, February 19th at the First Energy Stadium. Listen, the importance of heart and health is coming to Cleveland All-Star Weekend. Make sure you guys show up. This event going to be crazy. Wide variety of workout sessions, hip-hop dance battle, musical performances, a silent auction, celebrity access, and guest map. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy now.
That's why I keep studying.
Yeah, it's coming through real slowly. I don't know what's up over there with the equipment.
We got Cleveland's own Philly Week offering the high energy cardio class charged up. We got cardio boxing with Jordan, yoga with Lola, step with Ari Hassan, move with Steve. We got the booty builder with Ron and other trainers from LA, New York, and Chicago.
Yeah, it ain't playing nothing like the commercial was playing.
You don't have to work out. This expo will provide access to health and wellness information, free vaccine and booster shots. Yeah, I said it. Free vaccine and booster shots. Prizes, giveaway shop, food options. Did I just say prizes and giveaways?
Because it's playing back real slow when I talk. The audio, when I hear myself talk. Thank you. I didn't know about that button. Thank you.
Usually you can't be in the external music.
Huh?
You can't be in the external music.
Okay.
Cleveland All-Star Fitness Expo Saturday, February 19th. First Energy Stadium at the 7Up City Club is brought to you by Make Them Know Your Name Foundation, Julian Hall Mortgage, and WOVU 95.9 FM and Burtonsville Car Community Radio Station. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am here with Willie Epteen Jr., and we just got into, the first quarter of our show. We talked about the Super Bowl. We talked a little bit about what did we like Cincinnati doing, and we left off. I do want to say, even though Sean is a recipient of nepotism, I like him as a head coach. I don't know why. I guess I like his youthful enthusiasm, and he seems to be a player coach, all about the players. Sean McVay. So I don't know why I like him as a coach. Obviously I wanted Cincinnati to win, but I don't hate the fact that LA won.
You just think he cute.
Nah, he all right. I mean, he okay.
Okay.
But no, I just like him as a head coach, like, because I'll see him, like, somebody will score a touchdown and he'll be all the way down at the end zone, congratulating them and stuff like that. He just seems to be really into it, and a player's coach, where other players, they sit back in the sideline, but you catch him running, and I guess there's a specific person whose job is to always pull him back and get him out of the way of the officials. It's a video of a person constantly pulling him back, and I don't know, we see the old stuffy guard and coaches players who don't appear to care and have any emotions or anything like that. And you see Sean McVay all into it, going down, to the end zone, high-fiving players and all that other stuff. I don't know. For some reason, I really, I just like that. So, but, I still want Cincinnati to win nevertheless. So what did you like about what the LA Rams did in this game?
Well, the Rams won it because of their defense.
Yeah.
They won it because of their defense, because even though Jalen Ramsey didn't have the most terrific game of his career, he did give up that one bomb, and Marshawn Powers did call it. He said that Jamar would burn Jalen Ramsey at least once, but not for a touchdown. But other than that one play, and then you got to look at it like this too. Excuse me. T. Higgins, or was it Boyd? It was Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd got away with that face mask on Jalen Ramsey the first play of the third quarter. So if that penalty would have been called, who knows how the rest of the game would have gone? Who knows? I mean, we just don't know. But in terms of what the Rams, they had trouble running the ball, which I was kind of surprised at. But when OBJ went down, I think the game plan for the Bengals actually was able to change, because they were really able to double team and pay more attention to Cooper Kupp, even though he did catch 8 passes for 90 yards and had 2 scores and was the MVP. But you could see that he had to work a lot harder to get open than he would have had Robert Woods or even OBJ been there, during that time. So I think the Rams, they did what they needed to do in terms of adjusting their game plan. They ran the ball a very, very little, but they ran it okay when they needed to, and they were actually able to survive 2 interceptions by Matthew Stafford in order to win this game. So their defense is what really pulled it through, though.
Did it surprise you that they weren't able to do too much offensively against that Cincinnati defense that's really not, heralded or lauded at all?
Well, their defensive front, Cincinnati's defensive front, is really underrated, if you ask me. I mean, they got a couple of bookend pass rushers on that squad. I think one of them had 14 and a half sacks this year, and the other one may have had 9. So that didn't surprise me. Or their defensive line is actually the strength of their defense. I was really surprised that the Rams couldn't really run the ball. That's what surprised me the most, that they couldn't really run the ball. I mean, they got a three-headed monster with Henderson and Sony Michel and, of course, Cam Akers. I thought they would be able to get at least 100 yards on the ground. And then that would have taken the pressure off of Stafford. And then when OBJ went down, that just, oh my gosh, that was just it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second, because I wanted to know how you felt about, him getting his ring. But yeah, and also their Cincinnati's defense made, like you just said, it made LA give up on the run almost in the third quarter. So, they weren't able to do something that had been effective for them all season long. And Cincinnati's defense came to play. Unfortunately, it was just in the final, few minutes, it just didn't, played in, but they came to play. And overall, I think they should pretty much be very proud of their defensive performance, throughout the game.
Agree. Just a couple of, I mean, if you really think about it from the standpoint of this, one can make the argument that the Rams, the strongest part of their team is their front 7, and their front 7 sealed the deal against the Bengals on those last 2 plays. And one could argue that the strength of the Bengals team is their offense, particularly Burrow, Higgins, Boyd, and Chase. So really it was best on best, and the best of the Rams beat the best for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, that's very true if you put it that way. I remember I predicted remember I predicted 35-28. I thought, it was going to be more of an air show between these quarterbacks who like to throw the ball. I really didn't think that, it was going to be any type of running, game or anything like that. But, it kind of was a slow moving Super Bowl. But if anything, it was more of, a defensive battle in the trenches than anything. So, congrats to, the Rams, even though, I didn't want them to win, they won. So how do you feel about Odell getting his ring?
I'm glad he got it.
Why?
I mean, I wouldn't never really want a player to not get a ring, especially in a case like this, where I really didn't have a dog in the fight. So I would have been fine with either team winning, to be honest with you. But for Odell, whether it was fair, unfair, just or unjust, his departure from the Giants, we all know about. His departure from the Browns was even more scrutinized and a bigger spotlight placed on it than it was from New York, in my opinion, because it was him being cut as opposed to him being traded. When you're cut, that really just says, you know what? We think you can help us, but we don't think enough of you to be on our team in order to do that. So when he goes to LA, people were saying, oh man, the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. And look, his performance, his production went up. Like
through the roof,
almost doubled from what it was when he was with the Browns in just 8 games or whatever it was. So when you shake back from that type of adversity, I'm for that story because we are the Shake Back Media Group. And those are the types of stories that we like to tell or for people to tell. So I'm happy for him. I know somebody that's very close to him. So when he went down with that injury, I immediately texted this person. I said, yo, do you think it's an ACL? And he said, yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it's his ACL. And of course, it's the one that he already tore when he was with you guys.
Yeah, and I'm definitely sad to hear about that. Part of me, the fan part of me did not want him to win a ring because he left us. And I only wanted him to.
Y'all cut him.
Yeah, but it wasn't something that we wanted to do. It wasn't the fan base that did it. It was unfortunately,
So
he was put in a better situation, but it wasn't something that we wanted as fans and analysts and stuff like that. What happened with the dad in the tape? That was kind of wrong. We'll never know if it was his dad who put it out or Odell put him up to it. It doesn't matter at this point. The tape was already out there circulating anyway. So, he just found it and forwarded, but that tape was already known about. So, it really shouldn't matter. But, I wanted him to win a ring with the Cleveland Browns.
Of course you did.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. What do you think about his legacy from here on out? Even though, he's had, the issues with the Giants and then, the way he was cut in Cleveland. What do you think this does for his legacy? Does it erase everything bad that's happened?
No, it doesn't. And not for the reasons that you guys might think. And I'm going to explain to you why. If this injury, this latest injury that he sustained in the Super Bowl, if it is indeed an ACL tear, okay, which everybody seems to think there's going to be, that is going to make it very, very hard for him to even come close to returning to the form that he was before he actually had even the ankle injury in New York. So what we will ultimately remember OBJ as the player or the receiver who had all-time great talent, but due to these injuries, he's had 3 major leg injuries in a span of 7-8 years. We're going to remember that of what he could have been as opposed to what he was.
Now he is a Super Bowl champion, though.
Yeah, but
that's nothing anybody can ever take away from him at this point. Now
I understand that, but I also remember Andre Rison. He had a Super Bowl ring with the Green Bay Packers, and that fool ended up throwing his ring in the Flint River.
He did?
Yes, he did. So,
man.
And you know what? I'm trying to get that dude on my show too. I know somebody that knows him very close too. But yeah, so the Super Bowl, it depends on where you are in your career and what you had done into your career up to that point on whether or not a Super Bowl will actually define your legacy. Let's take Matthew Stafford, for instance. The questions are now gonna rain down. Is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer? And some people will say, well, he already was based on his resume. And then you have some people that say, well, he only won one playoff game in 13 years in Detroit. And he comes to Los Angeles and he wins 4 playoff games in one season. So how can you not elevate him up if he was not considered a Hall of Fame? How could you not elevate him up to a Hall of Fame status with what he's done? Is it a legacy defining moment? I don't know. He's not done playing. He's still got another, at least, I would say 3 good years left in him. So let's see what he does next year coming off where everybody's gunning for you. Okay. That team it could very well look markedly different than we see it now because they got a lot of issues to address in free agency with them losing free agents potentially or what they're going to do, because I know they're probably in salary cap HE double hockey sticks because
they are.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then look on the other side, the Bengals. The Bengals are $47 million under the cap. They are $47 million under the cap. So you have to think that they're going to make even more room because they need to get somebody to protect that dude, man. And I don't know what the draft prospects. I know as far as skill positions, and particularly the quarterback position, this year's draft is going to be really, really weak compared to what we're used to seeing from that position. So I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of offensive linemen that are going to be high up there on the boards. I haven't seen any of the mock drafts or any of that stuff, but for the Bengals, because did you see that hit that Joe Burrow took where he was wincing in pain like somebody had grabbed his ankle and just turned it this way?
When he had to leave the field?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't have that. You can't have that for your franchise quarterback. So to answer your question, does it define OBJ's legacy? I would say not yet, but what it does is that it adds to the positive side of having a positive legacy more so than the other side. Even though he did get injured in this game, he was going to be the MVP of the game if you ask me.
Yeah,
the way he was going. So there you go.
All right. Well, you know what time it is. We got to take a quick break. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
February 26, 2022, Strengthening Our Students will celebrate the 9th annual Celebrity Soup for the Soul fundraiser. From 2 p.m. until 6 p.m., you can taste deliciously prepared soups from Hilton Garden Inn, Edwin's, Pearl Flower Catering, Angie's Soul Food Restaurant, and they're providing 2 soups, in fact. Thistledown Chef, Northfield Park Chef.
So that's what was happening. Chris came and hit program 1. I guess I was in exit 1. I don't know how that happened.
At the Hilton Garden Inn, Cleveland East Side. That's 700 Beta Drive, Cleveland, Ohio, 44143. All of these awesome soups will be served by celebrities, and we even got Kicking It with Kenny, Kenny Crompton, and anchor reporter Jasmine Bailey hosting this year's Soup for the Soul.
Because yesterday was fine.
I can't forget to mention,
so I don't know what happened.
Cleveland's own gospel singer Tina Farmer performing live. So make sure to go to Eventbrite or the Strengthening Our Students website and grab your ticket. This message is brought to you by the Hilton Garden Inn, 700.
Yeah, now I know because I was stuttering because I couldn't hear it was so slow. So I kept stuttering. I'm like, oh my God. Right, yeah.
Students and WOVU.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here studying.
Community radio station.
Yeah, man, I was up here stuttering.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel
thank
Hill,
you.
the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. You can always listen to us online at WOVU.org. You can always download that WOVU app. So you can always listen to us on the go. You can always give us a call at 216-271-0959. You're listening to your girl, Rachel Hill, with Willie Epteen Jr. And we were just talking about the Super Bowl. So one of the things I want to ask you about was, what did you think about the halftime show?
Let me first say this about the halftime show, because there are a lot of haters out there. There are a lot of haters out there that are saying this and that and the third about Eminem taking a knee at the end of it. I got a problem with people that's got a problem with that. I'm gonna tell you why. You ready to hear?
Mm-hmm.
I got a problem with that. Your outrage over Eminem taking a knee, whether it's in if it was in tribute to Tupac or if it was in reverence to Colin Kaepernick, doesn't matter. What are you? Where was your outrage when Amir Locke was shot and killed on his own couch while he was asleep? Where was your outrage behind that? I don't understand. So because you're so wrapped up in a piece of cloth that every time
and a song,
well, really it's the cloth, because they keep saying, well, you're disrespecting the flag. I served in the military, Rachel,
right.
And the flag is a symbolism of something else. But the something else that it is a symbolism of is the exact opposite of what has been happening to a lot of us over the past 400 years. That's what the supposed symbolism is. So where's your outrage about no-knock warrants? Because you can't tell a person that to just comply when they're asleep, and then they were at the wrong place. And okay, I know I'm going off on a tangent. That's what I have a problem with. I had a problem with people like that, that were that. Now, in terms of the show itself, it was dope as I don't know what. It was so dope. And when they started playing Still Dre, I almost tore my ACL trying to get off the couch. Because to me, when that piano starts playing, and I don't know if anybody else can relate that song to Training Day the way that I do, when Jake and Alonzo got in the Monte Carlo and he hit the switches and they went up, and he said, "You in the office, baby," and it said, when that beat dropped, I'm telling you, man, I almost had to ice my whole body down because I was trying to get up and get with it. So I think Dre did a reasonably good job. I think Snoop did a reasonably good job. I think Mary J is just so fine. She is just so fine. Oh my gosh. And Monet, I don't know if you watch Power or not, but you know she plays on Power.
Who? Mary J. Blige?
Yeah.
No, I don't watch Power.
Oh man, yeah, she plays on Power. And she's the drug queen pin, if you will.
Okay.
But I thought she did great. That voice of hers is there's a reason why she is the queen, because she's all that. And I like.
What song did she sing again?
She did you know, the one that they played in Friday After Next. I can't remember the name of the song. Let's get
all the Fridays after the original Friday were stupid.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so and I think I think the 50 Cent surprise was a little cool. He looked like $1, not instead of 50 cents, because he was a little thick around the waistline. And I was waiting to see Ice Cube to come out. That would have been real tight. But if they'd have brought the game back to make up with 50, oh, that would have been super tight. But other than that, I would give it about an 8.5 out of 10. Probably the second or third best halftime show that I've paid attention to.
Do the Game and 50 Cent got a song together?
They did back in the day.
So if they play that, because remember when Beyonce did a halftime show, and I was like, man, it'd be dope if Kelly and Michelle had came out, and did the show with her, and they ended up coming out and doing the show. So you talking about something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool too.
It's a little different though for Destiny's Child with Beyonce and Michelle and Kelly, because they split up without any beef. The Game left, the Game was an original part of, or was an original member of G Unit.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, so it was G Unit with 50, Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, and the Game. But after the Game's first album that 50 produced, or really Dre produced it, but anyway, after that first album, boy, they had heated beef. I mean, beef so thick that you would have needed a saw to cut through it. That's how thick that steak was.
I wonder over what?
Huh?
I wonder over what?
Money.
Oh, okay. Always
over money.
Makes sense. Both got money. What's the problem?
But then how can you not love Eminem? I mean, to me, Eminem, Marshall Mathers is a top 5 MC of all time in my book.
Really?
Oh yeah. He's a for real lyricist. And you know what makes him special, Rachel, as a rapper? Is that he ain't got the input words, the N-word, in every other rhyme or every other bar in his raps. He can't do that. Like what's his name out of New Orleans? Birdman, Beatrice. he says the N-word in almost every other bar. Eminem can't do that. That's what he has on any other rapper out there, that he cannot do that. But yet his stuff still flows. So how did I like the halftime show? It was dope. Super dope.
Yeah, I like the halftime show a lot. I was in and out, because that's your chance to, go ahead and, do a whole bunch of stuff. So I was cooking a little bit and all that other stuff. So I was in and out. But, from what I did see, I did like the set, because usually Super Bowl halftime shows are just blah. It doesn't matter who the artist really is, I think. They're just, it's okay. I could take it or leave it, but I think I told this, and me and Kate talked about this yesterday. I think that they were targeting a specific age demographic, and it's not the demographic that has a ton of money, it's the boomers and stuff like that. But I think that they were targeting people our age, who kind of grew up listening to that. And I don't know why, but I think it was very, specific and strategic, when it came to the Super Bowl halftime show. And, I enjoyed it because that was the music that, came out when I was in high school, for the most part, and in college. So, I was happy to hear, and I think that they did a great job. And this was the first time it was ever hip hop, because it's always been, pop and all that other stuff. But, 70% of the league is Black players, and the audience is Black as well. We want to see things that don't necessarily cater to us, but, involve us and include us, because we can't always, bounce and jam to YouTube. Why should only one segment of the population, one music be geared to them, a certain segment of the population, so I think, maybe those days are over. Maybe it was a, in quotation marks, woke, thing. How certain people have turned the word woke into, a mockery, so to say. But, I think that, it was targeting a specific demographic, which was Black people. Well, not even really Black people, because there's a lot of white people that listen to that music too.
Latinos,
but I think a certain age range.
Asians, Latinos.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm going to tell you 3 things other than Jesus Christ that were put on this earth to unify us. Are you ready for this? This is simple. Yes. I'm solving the issue of racism with this next statement. Other than Jesus Christ, whether you believe in him or not, the 3 things that are on this planet to unify us. Number 1, food. You get some good food, I don't care what color you are, you're going to eat it if it's good. Number 2, good music. Music comes from the soul. And if it's good, people are going to dance. I can't tell you how many clubs I've been to with my white brothers and sisters, man, partying with them. And then number 3, sports. Those are the 3 things other than Jesus Christ that will unify us.
You said that will or is unifying us?
It will. It will.
Well, I needed to hurry up.
Well, that's the answer. Doesn't necessarily mean that everybody wants to hear it, because the people that need to hear it the most are the ones that are not willing to accept it.
And with that, we're going to take a break. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little cap action. And I'm going to ask Will's opinion as an outsider. What does he think that the Browns need to do in order to get to Cincinnati's level and be competitive and possibly make it to the Super Bowl in the future? So you're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. We will be right back.
And you can get yours. Enterprise Community Partners presents free tax filing from IRS certified professionals. There's locations all around Cuyahoga County, and you can receive up to $6,600 from the Earned Income Tax Credit if eligible. They'll even be able to help you open a checking account to safely deposit your tax refund into if you don't already have a checking account. There's no fees, filing is free, there's no catch at all. Schedule your tax appointment at refundohio.com. This message is brought to you by Third Federal, Huntington Bank, Dollar Bank, U.S. Bank, Ohio Savings Bank, Cuyahoga County Family Services, Bank of America, Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, IRS, Citizens Bank, Fifth Third Bank, PNC, Key Bank, and WOVU, a Burton Belcar community radio station.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU and 95.9 FM. And I told Willie that when we come back on air, one of the things that we're going to discuss is what can the Browns do in order to possibly make it to the Super Bowl. And one is obviously you have to win enough games. But two, they're going to have to decide what they're going to do at quarterback. They say that they believe in Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield is going to be playing and is going to be their guy and projected to be their starter. But is he really? What do we know about his supposedly surgically repaired shoulder? What do we know about how his overall health is? And that's going to be one of the huge things that needs to be figured out, how Baker is going to play this year. Is he going to be accurate? Hey, Willie, I was just talking about how I told you I was going to ask you, what do the Browns need to do in order to possibly get to the Super Bowl, just like, their division, right? One of the division foes, the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm like, if the Cincinnati Bengals are able to make it, then a lot of people are able to make it too. And the Browns, are a team that at the beginning of the year, there was a lot of hope for the Cleveland Browns to be able to make it to the Super Bowl. But they didn't. So as an outsider to Cleveland, what do you think the Browns need to do in order to be able to make it to the big game, just like Cincinnati did?
They need to ask Cincinnati if they would trade quarterbacks with them.
Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns, really? They have everything in place. They have everything in place.
That includes the quarterback?
Except the quarterback.
Okay. That's the situation they're going to have to figure out.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure that out. And they need another receiver. They need a receiver. Not necessarily. Well, they're going to need two receivers because I'm thinking Jarvis Landry is going to be let go.
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
Yeah. So they're right there with the exception of a couple pieces, but the biggest, the one of the people we're talking about is the biggest piece in all of sports, and that's the quarterback.
Yeah, I think so too. They're going to have to figure it out. And, how much do you allow Baker to go if he starts the year and he's terrible? How long do you allow it to go on?
Doesn't matter.
Bench him?
Doesn't matter who they got behind him. Case Keenum.
If he's still here,
Case Keenum ain't gonna take you nowhere.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a black hole. It's purgatory. It's NFL purgatory for a team You know what? You know that saying, the closer you are, the further you are away. That's what the Browns are. Because we saw it. We saw it this year. I mean, I know injuries had played a big part of that. The defense underperformed. Seriously. When Baker Mayfield was hurt and wasn't playing all that well, the defense did not step up. Because you can't have a running back, man, that rushes for 1,000, 1,200 yards, and he missed 2 or 3 games. And then you have another running back that is more than capable of running for 1,000 yards. You can't have that on a team and you not make the playoffs. I mean, you can't have that on a team and your quarterback is the reason why you don't win.
Yeah. I mean, he's the reason why we aren't winning. So anyway, moving on to basketball. We'll obviously, have more talk about what the Browns need to do, but football is over right now. So they got 6 months to figure it out. They got 6 months to figure it out. Cleveland Cavaliers take on the Atlanta Hawks tonight on the road. Wanted to mention something because there's no show tomorrow. There's special programming taking place, but Cleveland is hosting the All-Star game. So you want to make sure you catch the broadcast of the HBCU game on WOVU. Want to make sure that you get out to various things. There's so much going on in Cleveland. One is the All-Star, All-Star celebrity game. There's tickets available for that. The NBA crossover event, there's tickets available for that. There's tickets available still for the HBCU game. So there's a lot of stuff still available, tickets still available. So we want to make sure that we come out, support our city, support basketball in the NBA. So we want to make sure we come out and support it being in our hometown. But thoughts about the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Karis LeVert trade and how he's worked out so far with us, even though we had a bad loss to Philly the other day. Pretty, bad loss. It's okay, coming off of a road game, back-to-back. Had a little stumble, but, what are your thoughts so far about how Karis has blended into this team?
He was the perfect piece. He was the perfect piece that was needed. I'm going to say this again on this show because I said it before on our other shows that all you Clevelanders out there, to include the one who I am on this show with, need to get off of Coach Bickerstaff's back.
I ain't been dogging him. What you talking about?
All y'all that wanted to run him out of town.
What you talking about? When was
this?
This
Last year.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Y'all need to say I'm sorry to that man because he has that team, your team. Hashtag be the fight. He has them fighting. And if y'all ain't careful, he gonna mess around and win Coach of the Year.
Oh yeah, I definitely think he'll win Coach of the Year.
Now, let's see. The coach of Chicago, what's his name? I forgot his name.
I forgot his name.
Billy Donovan.
That's what Google's for.
Billy Donovan is the head coach in Chicago.
I can't stand him.
Well,
you know why though?
Why?
Because his Florida Gators beat the Ohio State Buckeyes in 2007 in the national championship, and I think they did it because they just wanted to see another repeat winner other than Duke.
Well,
but I digress.
I mean, Florida did have some NBA players on that team. I mean, their starting 5 all ended up in the NBA. So be that as it may, but I mean, back to the Cavs though. I'm actually happy for the Cavaliers because I'm a Laker fan. I got on Laker colors right now, even though the shirt says LSU. I'm I'm almost to the point to where I'm ready to see or play a game. Rachel, you know how we do it on the Shake Back Sports Show. I'm ready to play a game of this or that with the Cavs and the Lakers. And it's only because the Lakers seem to be so far in turmoil. They're banking on the buyout market to bail them out of this mess. So the Cavaliers, bless you. The Cavaliers, to me, if they can somehow get up the gumption because I think it's in their head about the Milwaukee Bucks that they may not be able to get it done through going through them. If they can somehow work up the confidence, and Karis LeVert's going to help, they're gonna be a tough out.
Good.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, you ain't talking about LA being a tough out, are you?
No.
Okay. You were like, no.
Not no.
If they make the
playoffs.
No. Huh? If they make the playoffs. If LA makes the playoffs.
If was a fifth.
But I think it's great. I think he was that player that we needed, that confidence, the ability to, score off the dribble. So I think that those are things that were desperately needed. That game again, did you see that dunk that Joel Embiid had against Jared Allen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it was crazy. So, how I wouldn't say worried, but what are your thoughts about Philly and how they might emerge in the Eastern Conference?
I'd rather see them do well. Now that they have Harden, I'm not so sure, because I have fixed it in my mind that wherever James Harden goes, I'm not going to like the team. I'm not going to like the team wherever he goes. And that's no knock on Philadelphia, because I actually like them. I like Maxey. I like I like Embiid, of course. And and what they have and what Doc has put together. Now, Doc will have a lot of pressure on him. Doc is the one that has blown multiple 3-1 leads in the playoffs. Playoffs? Exactly. So yeah, well, we ain't talking about practice right now. We're talking about playoffs. So I have resigned it in my head that whatever team that dude goes to, I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna be like secretly hating on them because of him. I'm not a James Harden fan whatsoever, and I think he's a tremendous talent. He can score the basketball almost better than anybody in this generation. But as long as he's on a team and he plays the way he does, I don't think they'll ever win an NBA championship ever. Same thing with Russell Westbrook. Selfishly? Yeah. I don't think that team will ever win an NBA championship.
Well, what are your thoughts about him being able to play with Joel Embiid? Because I don't know how that's going to work. How Joel Embiid has, is, I wouldn't say developed, but this year, he's having a phenomenal year. He's being considered for MVP, and he's a leader of this. I say of this, like this is our. He's a leader of the Philadelphia 76ers, and right now he's just playing lights out. Do you think playing with James Harden will affect his game in a way?
It'll affect his game, but it's going to make Joel Embiid that much more dominant. You want to know why?
Why?
Because James Harden is a playmaker. Not only is he a playmaker, but he's a shooter. Ben Simmons was somewhat of a playmaker, and we all know of his shooting deficiencies. So you have James Harden that can take anybody off the hop. He can get to the cup. He can shoot the mid-range. He can shoot the long range. That opens up the floor for Joel Embiid. And not only that, since Joel Embiid can play at any level of where you need to score from on the floor, he can be involved. They can put Harden and Embiid in pick and rolls all day long.
Yeah.
Or pick and pop for that matter.
Yeah. And so, dominant teams that way.
Yeah, and they have the pieces. They have the pieces around them. They have, the Maxies, Tyrese Maxies, and they have the kid that they got from LA. I can't even think of his name right now. Tobias Harris. They got those guys. I think they're gonna miss Seth Curry, a bit, but James Harden's gonna make up for that with his ability to penetrate, make plays, as well as shoot from the three.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting what happens the rest of the year and, how the Cavs contend and, that new look 76ers as well as the new look, I was going to say New Jersey, the new look Brooklyn Nets. But that's our time, man. You've been listening. And so for my boy, Willie Epstein Jr., and for Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, you've been listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We are out of here.